what's going on, guys? Hopefully you liked the last video. I talked about what my setup is this year for 2021. And like I talked about in that video, I'm shooting the new Mathews V331. So along with shooting a Mathews, one thing you'll notice is the Mathews do not have an adjustable yoke system. So with that being said, in this video I want to talk about how you get rid of a left or right tear without moving your arrow rest outside of the parameters of that 13/16 that Mathews recommends. So without further ado, let's jump into the intro and then we'll get back into the video.
Got him. Now that's a fish.
Man, look at this beautiful turkey.
First morning.
There he is, guys. Oh, damn.
I love this place.
Heck yeah. Thank you, Lord. Thank you, Lord.
Thank you.
Man, I love doing this stuff so much. I'm so thankful for the life you've blessed me with and the wife you've blessed me with.
All right, guys, so like I said, left and right tear, leaving your rest at 13/16. So for me, I paper tuned my bow. The bow was shooting great. All of a sudden, I started noticing that my arrow was kicking just a little bit. So I started doing a little research and noticed about several different guys adjusting their top hat systems. So I got to thinking about it and said, well, you know what? This may not be a bad idea to do a video on this system. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through how I'm going to adjust my top hats on my bow. So I have a slight right hand tear. It's telling me that I need to move my rest farther away from the riser. So instead of moving my rest outside of that 13/16 parameter, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to move my cams over to the right. And these are the top hats that are actually currently in my bow, this size here. So what I'm going to do with these top hats is I'm going to swap them. So one thing on these top hats, and hopefully you can see this, is one side of your top hats are bigger than the other. So let's see if there it goes, picks up my hand. One side is thicker than the other, and what that does is it actually shims your cam right or left. Right now my thin side is on the left, my thicker side is on the right. I'm going to swap them to where my thicker side is on the left and my thin side is on the right, and we're going to go from there. If it requires it, I may end up having to go to a different size shim setup on these top hats, but I don't think we're going to have to go there. I have an ever so slight right hand tear. So in the process of super tuning this bow, I figured it was going to be a good topic to bring to y'all. Let's go ahead and jump on into it and start changing these things out. So the only things you'll need for this process is a bow press, you'll need the top hat system, and you'll need 2 Allen wrenches. On the end of your limbs on these Mathews, there is, where your axle goes, is actually 2 little button head screws. And behind each one of those button head screws is a little cap that covers up a hole on your limb. You only have to remove one side of those screws. You have to have the 2 Allen wrenches because every once in a while they will actually slide around. Each side will slide around, so that one's not wanting to come out. Once you pull the screw out, you may actually have to do a little bit of adjustment on your bow press here. Sometimes these little tears get these limbs out of whack just enough where you can't get your axle out. Let's try that. There we go. So once you get your axle out, that's what it's going to look like. Pretty much self-explanatory. When you put it back through, make sure you put it back the direction that you pulled it out, it really doesn't matter. It's just going to be the fact that your set screw or your little button head screw that you pulled out came off of one side. So all you got to do is just pop these little sleeves out of the slot. Top and bottom doesn't matter, but the system matters. So when you look on these little sleeves, these little top hats, there's going to be 3 different kinds, and the ones that I've got have the lines at the bottom. So you have 2 lines on one and 1 line on the other. You can see them there at the bottom of the sleeve. Each progressive set has a matching set of lines like that. One set's in the middle, one set's at the top, and one set's at the bottom. This set is at the bottom. So like I said, the way mine's set up now, thicker one on the right, thinner one on the left. These are going to be swapped. So now my thicker one's going to be on the left, and my thinner one is going to be on the right. Essentially slightly shifting my cam over. Make sure when you stick your cam back in that you have everything lined up correctly. All your strings and cables are still currently installed. And then you just gotta do a little tap, tap, taparoo and get your axle back through. Hopefully. There it goes. And it's back through. Go ahead and put our set screw or our button head screw on the back side here. And tighten them back down. Make sure you tighten these things down, not super, super tight, but enough that you're not going to have a vibration sound when you shoot. All right, those are in there. And hopefully this axle just slides out on its own, but we may have to do some adjustment. Nope, it slid right out, so we're good there. So all right, that axle's out. Take my cam out here, lay it off to the side, and then slide these sleeves out just to go through the process of actually swapping these. And like I said, it's going to be the thick one on the right, on the left now, and the thin one on the right. Sliding this cam over to the right also ever so slightly. And you can see this process is pretty quick. If you have a bow press and you have all the Allen wrenches and stuff like that, then you'll be good to go. But don't take this project on your own. If you don't understand this process, you know, it's always good to learn things, but sometimes it's better just to, it's better to take it up to a shop and at least maybe the first time, at least have these guys show you exactly what you're doing and kind of explain the reasoning behind the adjustment process. It's going to save you a lot of time and frustration. All right, so we got these snug back down. Double check everything, make sure everything's still hooked up, cables wise, strings wise, make sure our axles are in, and make sure I've got the shims or top hats installed with the same thickness on each side, and I do. So let's shoot this thing through paper and see if that made a difference. So what you want to do here is, like I'm shooting bare shaft, and what I've done is I've taken some duct tape and wrapped around the back of the shaft right around where the fletchings would go to make the total arrow weight weigh the same as what it would if it was fletched. So I'm going to run the shaft, shoot the shaft first, then I'm going to shoot the fletched arrow if the shaft does pretty decent. So what I want to do here is I want to get about 10 or 12 feet away from the paper tuner rack, to give us a pretty good idea of what the arrow is going to do. I think we got it, guys. Just shot my 2 arrows. I shot a shaft and a regular fletched arrow. Shot perfect. Then my other arrow, for whatever reason, I might do a little playing with that. But depending on which direction I turn the arrow, depends on what kind of tear I have in the paper. So it's definitely the actual arrow, not the bow. So that's good. So hopefully you got something out of this video. Hopefully if you're having issues tuning your bow, you can take your bow up to the pro shop, or if you want to watch this video and try to do it yourself, you can go from there. But that's the process of swapping out your top hats on one of the newer Mathews bows, and seems like it works. So I think Mathews is on to something. I'm not 100% sure if they're the only ones that do this as far as the sleeve system, but I think it's a very, very good idea. Seems like it makes the tuning process, if you have a press, seems like it makes the tuning process pretty simple. So anyway, thanks for watching, guys. Thanks for watching my content all around. If you haven't already, check out the website. Go get you a hat, go get you a shirt. And if you're in the market for a new bow or anything archery related, come up here and check these guys out at Grafton Archery. They can get you set up with anything you need. So we'll catch you on the next video, guys. Remember to live your life to the fullest and use your passions to bless others. Thanks for watching.